strength conditioning for you lovely triathletes. Even if you're not a triathlete, if you're a runner or a cyclist, listen in, this is all transferable. But let me get something off my little hairy chest. This is going to be a strength conditioning chit chat. It's not going to be a resistance training chit chat, a gym instructor chit chat. This is actually strength conditioning, separate qualification. It's not personal training, it's strength conditioning. I'm qualified in both, and trust me, they are light years apart from each other in regards to what's involved in the qualifications and what it takes to get qualified. One, I used to train personal trainers. I used to own my own company in that, so I know what it takes to become a personal trainer, and I also know what it takes to become a savvy strength conditioner. Again, they are light years apart from each other. Yes, of course, when I hear other triathlon coaches talking about do this type of strength conditioning to assist your sporting performance, it really F's me off because they're probably not qualified. And even the ones that don't believe in strength conditioning, which you are out there because you've called me out and saying it's a waste of time, it's only for the elites and it only improves your performance by 1%. I don't know what shit you've been reading, but it's literally that, a load of shit. You can increase your performance way more than 1%, and for 30 to 45 minutes, once per week, you're going to get massive gains in your performance if you know what you're doing. Who am I and why should you give a toss about listening to what I've got to say? Yes, I'm qualified in strength conditioning. Yes, I'm qualified in triathlon coaching. I've also got a degree in sports science. I've also got a degree in a master's in sports science. And let me tell you about those last two qualifications. Undergraduate degree and master's degree. Once again, light years apart. I don't care if you've got a first in sports science, go and do a master's degree. Completely different, way more demanding, way more detail required, way more reading required. Knowledge is upped. You need to really up your game. Where do you start with your triathlon and your strength conditioning efforts within the gym? You don't need to go to a gym. If you've got a home gym, that's absolutely fine. Now, if you're lacking equipment, going to a gym might be a benefit to you. Quite similar to your endurance training, there's blocks or phases of training within your gym work. It's not the same thing all the way through the year. You're going to plateau in a matter of weeks and then, granted, wasting your time. That's probably where other tri coaches are going wrong. You don't know what you don't know. Last rant about it, go get qualified, then come back and tell me it's a load of shit. The first phase you want to be looking at is something called the general preparation phase. Visualize that lovely triangle, similar to your endurance training. That base training is your general preparation phase, and this is where we dabble with a bit of strength training, and I mean actual strength training. This stuff isn't light. At the same time, you're not going to break your balls deadlifting, squatting, single leg exercises, so on and so forth. Because we're endurance athletes, we're going to approach this a bit more prudently, a bit more savvy and careful. We're going to aim for, 1, technical mastery. Make sure you can do the damn exercise correctly first, because without the technical mastery, you ain't going to get the benefits from it. Quite similar to your swimming. If you look like a shark attacking the water and your coach is telling you to swim faster, you're probably not. You're probably just going to get more tired a hell of a lot quicker. To keep it as simple as I possibly can, you want to keep the reps within a 5 rep mark. However, in the early stages, you might creep into the 5 to 8 rep mark. At the end of those reps, say for example, you're going to do a deadlift, a hex bar deadlift or a back squat or front squat, something of that nature. At the end of those 5 reps, for example, the effort wants to feel like 7 out of 10. It's comfortably hard, and you've definitely got a rep or 2 in reserve. Something what we call on this lovely force velocity curve, sub-maximal strength training. And with this sub-maximal strength training, you will be able to train the following day and the day after that. You're not going to be dommed up or delayed onset of muscle soreness. You're not going to be walking around like John Wayne. That's not the objective. The objective is to gradually get stronger within this phase of training. Exercises to focus on. If I talk about swimming, again, this list can be extensive, but for the sake of this video, for swimming, look at your chin-ups or your pull-ups, look at your single arm rows, look at your lateral shoulder raises. They also have a good purpose within the upper body within that. Moving on to your cycling, look at your single leg exercises and also look at your double legged exercises. Single leg exercises, look at the split squat variations. So you might go for the split squat, you might go for the Bulgarian, where that back leg is raised within that split squat position. Requires a lot more balance. Don't neglect the hamstrings. Look at your single leg hamstring curls as well. Look at your Copenhagens. When it comes to your running, feel free to add in some isometric work or the static work. Hit some specific knee angles, ankle angles and hip angles to mimic the run actions. Now remember, with your strength and conditioning, you don't want to mimic certain movement patterns that transfer onto the swim, bike and run. You want to achieve things in the gym that you can't achieve when you swim, bike and run. I'll say that again. You want to achieve physiological attributes within the gym that you can't achieve within your swim, bike and run activities. What is the point? In addition to your run training, don't forget about those lovely calves. Focus on the soleus, the bottom end of the calf, and also the gastrocnemius, the top end of the calf. Look at bent knee calf raises and straight-legged calf raises there. Look at some isometric work that can really strengthen up and stiffen up, which is a good thing within your tendons, within your hamstring tendons as well. Lots of iso hip holds, again, bent knee calf raises. At the end of an extensive warm-up, you can look at some light-based plyometrics, which also serve as running drills, which also serve as plyometrics for your swimming and your cycling, all benefiting you from a sporting performance, all within 30 to 45 minutes. Now, if all this is all a bit overwhelming and you need a helping hand, I am here in the link below, within the show notes, whatever they call it. You're going to see the 7-day kickstart course. I think it's day 2 or day 3 of an email sequence. You're going to get me talking you through the general preparation phase with all the exercises, with all the instructional videos that come along with it, and the science and the rationale behind it. It's free. Why wouldn't you have a go at it? Check it out. You've mastered the technique. Your numbers have gone up gradually. You've gone from a 50 kilogram hex bar lift for 5 reps. Now it's up at a sound 100 plus, whatever it might be. You might be happy just staying in that phase of training. If you're completely new to this, you might think, you know what, that's enough for me to kind of get my teeth stuck into Garth. That's fine. It's still going to benefit you. However, if you're looking to push it to the next phase of training, again, we're going to go up that triangle. You're going to leave that foundational general preparation phase, and you're going to go up a tier, something called the special preparation phase, where we focus on a bit more power-based movements, because the bigger your base, the higher your peak, the more powerful you can get. You might completely skip the general preparation phase. However, if you do that, hear me out. 2 examples, or 1 example. 2 people, one person can lift 50 kilograms for 5 reps of a hex bar deadlift, and the next person can do 100 kilograms. Assuming all else is equal, they're the same body weight. And then for the power phase, I tell them to lift 20% of your hex bar lift. Well, one person's lifting 20 kilograms, and the next person is lifting, 5 to 10 kilograms. The person that can lift more hex bar weight for strength, their 20% overall is going to be higher. They're going to be producing more watts and more force. So essentially their power to weight ratio is a lot better than the next person who skipped the strength training. You need the strength training first. I might be thinking, am I just going to completely stop strength training now? I'm just going to focus on like 20 to 40% of my power efforts in this next phase of training, for example. No, you will dabble with a little bit of strength training, but not as much as. The sole focus isn't that submaximal strength training now. We might look at going into something called contrast training, where you might do a 5 repetition front squat, for example. Do some active recovery for a couple of minutes where we do a bit of core work, and then you're going to mimic the squat action with a power-based action. So it might be squat jumps, for example's sake. Doesn't have to be that, but for example's sake. So you're ticking the strength box, then in the active recovery, you're going to get a little bit of core work, and then you're going to tick the power-based box within that as well. You're dabbling with a bit of strength, and now we're focusing on those power attributes. That's going to help you with your sporting performance. And yes, within these power-based exercises, they will be specific to triathlon because there is an up-teen number of power-based exercises or exercises out there as a whole. This will be laser beamed in within your performance of triathlon. The next phase of training up that tier, we've got general preparation phase, special preparation phase, and now we're going to have a look at the peaking phase. Here, you may explore something called, or work on something called power endurance. If you visualize bike rides or runs, we can go through segments of races where the course or the race asks demanding physical questions of us, where we have to produce high amounts of power on a regular basis. And within this power-based training, we're going to surf down that force velocity curve and again work on that power endurance, where we can pump out high amounts of power on a regular basis under some fatigue. The person that can do that more often and more successfully, you won't be able to live with that person compared to the other person that can't do it. With all this said, this alone, strength and conditioning, won't get you there. It will help, but you still need to get the endurance training spot on as well. They might want to mimic each other. When you next time hear a triathlon coach say strength and conditioning is a waste of time, remember, ask them, are you qualified in it? No. Well, how about you go get qualified? Because you don't know what you don't know. And this isn't just for the elite athletes. This is for you and I, the amateurs as well. It can help everybody. It helps you prevent you from breaking down an injury. And I can hear those coaches now screaming at their screens going, they're breaking down an injury because of their load management's incorrect. They're doing too much too soon. And you're probably right. But those that are stronger and more powerful and more robust within their joints and their soft tissues, their ligaments, muscles and tendons, they can do a lot more intensity for a greater amount of time so they don't break down an injury and they can keep their training consistent. It's important to look out for the amber flags, not the red flags. Once you get the red flags, you've gone too far. A good coach will be able to communicate with their athletes and figure out and work out where their limit is. There's enough data and enough technology these days to work this out. Again, if you're struggling with the strength and conditioning, click on the link below. Within that 7-day kickstart course, you're going to get that general preparation phase boxed off for you. There's also some other goodies in there which are also going to be of high value to yourself. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time, and hopefully I'll get that half marathon personal best. I will.